Alright, got my boy here because I was supposed to make this video. I wanted to make this video before I had to take him, but the gardeners came and they were making a racket, making this look all pretty. So here we are, bud. We're going to talk about how to risk nothing as a means of risking everything. What? What's he talking about? What's he talking about? Got to shift arms, otherwise I'll lose a bicep. Risk nothing to risk everything. All right, so let's start with risk equals reward, right? We all know that. And let's talk about money and financial risk. This is, I'm not unaware that the way that I do money is what a lot of people would consider high risk. I'm so sorry. High risk. I'm being highly invested, highly leveraged, going all in. Whether it's investing in my coaching or in the past putting all my money into real estate investments or using all the cash I have to hire a team in India or Ukraine to develop a website project that I'm going to get paid out big on at the end. High risk, high reward. It's not an uncommon idea. But the way that most people meet that is to really think, well, the more risk I can stomach, then the more risk I can take, and then the higher the reward I can get. So if I'm risk averse, then I can't maybe create a big reward. And look, there's more than one way to make a lot of money, right? If we're talking about wealth creation, I know conservatism is a way to create wealth. The only difference is it's the long game, right? If you can be conservative consistently, you can cumulative interest, man, you can make a lot of money. But if you're not conservative, how do you make a lot of money? Like, I'm not that conservative. I'm not in it for the long game, or I haven't been until I had some kids. I'm in a little bit longer now, right? But still, I live for the present moment. I'm here. It is now. Here. That's where I live. That's my experience of life. That's what matters to me most. And so, how can I create what I want still? Well, I have to, if I want to grow and make income faster, because I'm not playing a long game, doing the cumulative interest, slow growth thing, which I do think is great, by the way. I'm not knocking that. I think it's awesome. It just doesn't fit for me most of the time. What do? If you want to grow faster, you got to risk bigger. So, okay, that means I need to be able to stomach that risk. Well, this is where the inner and the outer kind of work together. Because if you feel not free by being highly leveraged, by having all of your money invested in something, whether it's in yourself as a coach or in a business, in an investment property, like if you're investing in cryptocurrency, right? That's a big thing right now. A lot of people just dipping their toe in, playing a little bit, and some are high risk. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin, not a bunch, I bought a Bitcoin when it was like $500. And then I sold it when it hit 50,000. Wish I didn't, but I did. Oh wait, no, 5,000, 50,000, I'd be much better off. I sold it at 5,000. If I'd sold it at 50, I would have been way better off. Anyway, my point is, how do you risk everything, meaning go all in, so that you can create a huge reward, a huge return, by risking nothing? What does that mean? Okay, so risk, it all comes down to this word risk, and actually seeing that risk is a created perspective. It's an experience you're having that's generated by your mind. You're like, you could risk losing your house. But whether or not that's a risk is relative to how much that matters to you. Like, if you could be that, so I lose my house. What's the worst that could happen? Then I'll go rent somewhere. If you could be that, if you're like, but what about my kids? They'd have to move. Yeah, they'd have to move. And what if I was okay with that? You think they might be okay? Excited to move? Yeah, but what if the place is smaller? What if that was cool? What if we downsized? What if all the things that I was afraid of happening on the other side of what I'm calling financial risk wasn't scary for me? What if I created my experience of freedom from the inside out instead of the outside in? When you do that, suddenly you can take what are considered bigger risks, the average standard, but they're not for you. And this is the thing that people don't get. A lot of times, like even for myself, like I'll have friends or family members that may like, dude, that's crazy. I think it's too risky. I have a family member saying like, I can't sleep at night thinking about this. It's the wrong decision. And I'm like, it's definitely the wrong decision for your relationship to risk, for what you need circumstantially to feel safe. What I need circumstantially to feel safe, to feel okay, is just different. And that doesn't make it right, wrong, better, worse. It's just different. And I'm saying it's different because I create my experience of freedom and safety and security more through the manipulation of my experience, through the changing of my perspectives, than I do by the alignment of circumstance. I do not need anything. I do not even need to stay alive. I want to stay alive, especially for you, right? Well, don't look in the sun. I want to stay alive, but I don't need to. And that experience of wanting without need, the creation of an internal freedom, the needing of nothing, is what liberates you to be able to risk everything. Needing nothing from the inside out allows you to create a risk and make an investment, risk everything on the outside. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it better. It does make it different. It does make it different than in circumstances to be so. In order for you to feel something, as long as you're entangled to circumstance, your capacity to risk is subject to those circumstances because your feeling about it is dependent on those circumstances. And so all I'm offering you is that you could actually grow faster if you risked more, and you could risk more if you were more free and your intolerance for risk went up. And I'm saying that that freedom could be created from the inside out. That you actually looking at, I say, follow the rabbit. What am I actually afraid of? Oh, I'm afraid of running out of money. And then what? What's the worst that could happen then? Well, I lose my house, and then what? Well, then I have to find another place to live. Okay, and then what? Well, I don't want that. Why? Well, because people would think that I've been lost. It's like, oh, some identity stuff wrapped up in there. People would think okay, what else? Well, I would miss my big screen TV or whatever the stuff is. If you actually look at it, you realize it's actually not that bad. So wait a minute. The things that I'm afraid of, I don't actually need to be afraid of. And just by looking at the things you're afraid of, you can actually begin to liberate yourself from the fear, and you can be more willing to take higher risks. Because it's easier that way. I mean, it's not because you're more courageous. There's just less fear. So these are just some ideas. Again, I don't have the truth. I don't know what the right thing is. I know what works for me. I know I scale quickly, grow quickly, create a lot of what I want because I take what a lot of people would consider big risks. And for me, it just doesn't feel that scary. It doesn't mean I don't have fear. I don't fearless. It's just I lean into my edge of creating a new reality from the inside out as a way of taking bigger risks. Not just like biting, holding on tight, like gripping, like white knuckling it. It's not that either. I don't want to live white knuckled. But I also want to live tethered to circumstance, entangled with circumstance, subject to circumstance, out there in the world. I want to create, man. So, go from survival to freedom, and then to pure creation. I love you. I love you. You going to sleep? Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.